Welcome everybody to Haven of Horror. As always, I am subject. I have Robert, Sid, the dummy, Wild, and
Hell yeah.
Hadan, the hyena.
Oh
Uh,
no.
I don't want to be the hyena.
so we are finally here, folks. We are doing season 1 of Buffy. We do plan to cover all of this show and all of Angel. For ease of sake, because I know 24 episodes is a lot, which is what the show will go to after this. We're going to do these in 12 episode chunks, so that Robert doesn't quit the channel and then we have to delete the channel and it's a whole thing. So Robert, if you don't know, this show went for 7 seasons, and then you have 5 seasons of Angel, and then it got seasoned comics that go from
Smallville did.
8 through 12, and then Angel got a couple of spin-off comics of his own. But I won't go into those because obviously that'll spoil things. How much did you know about this going in, except for the pilot that we reviewed?
Not much else. I remember talking about it when we discussed the pilot of I think you asked if I knew what Angel's deal was, and I was like, yeah.
Okay.
It's like vamp. Okay, so he's at first I wasn't sure if he was like a Blade, half vampire situation, but the idea is actually I'm jumping way ahead, but he's like a vampire, but his soul is still in there, and that's what makes him unique or like cursed.
Yes.
Basically. They did hold off on that reveal longer than I was expecting.
Yes.
They wait a while. But other than that, that's basically all I knew.
Okay.
Other than kind of the general. Okay, it's funny you asked that because I knew the general vibe, like Freak of the Week formula, and some people who worked on this would go on to work on Smallville, right? Is that correct?
I think so.
But it's something that's come up in Smallville a lot is the Buffy formula and how this show informs that. And now
Smallville wants to be Buffy really badly.
Yeah, and Smallville is worse Buffy. But...
Yes.
Oh.
These may be fighting words. I need more time to sit with it. I might prefer Smallville season 1 over this first season. I know that's probably a hot take, but they have different pros and cons.
Okay, real quick. Sorry, Hayden. I want to ask Robert this, and Robert, I'm going to apologize in advance because a lot of this first half is going to be me kind of picking your brain, because you're coming into this from a different perspective than me and Hayden, who have already seen this. So let me ask you this. So I consider the story episodes to be 1 and 2, the pilot, 5, 7, and 12. Would you agree that the story episodes are better than season 1 of Smallville, or did you not vibe with those as much either? Because the one thing I will say about this show, this season especially, is the one-off episodes are either amazing or really bad.
Or amazingly bad, depending on your point of view. Yeah, no, that's fair. If you're just looking at the plot-centric episodes, is it better than Smallville? Probably. I'm not gonna fight you on that. It's also hard comparing a 12-episode season to a 20-episode season. But just... And this is only speaking to my experience, but it's like some of those early one-off episodes, I'm like, oh god, this is like a Smallville season 6 crypto-fake plot. I don't know already.
Yeah. So the general kind of, and this isn't, I'm not saying I agree with this. This is just kind of the general Buffy fan consensus is like, this is the Buffy trajectory. You got 1, and then 2 through 5, and then 6 and 7. I think it's more of a 6, 7, but.
And I like 6 more than most people.
But 7, I don't know if I dislike 7 more than 1. 1 is good when it's good, and then sometimes you're like, oh god.
Obviously, I'm coming in this with a very specific bias. And, it's not fair comparing this to Smallville because that show comes later. and I'm just watching the second. And B, with Smallville, I already have kind of a built-in interest with the Superman mythology, like the Lex Luthor side of Smallville, hooks me right away, and that's the stuff I'm with the whole time in a way that nothing here has really hooked me yet, other than I enjoyed it. Like, I want to be clear, like, I did enjoy this for the most part. Like, I'm with it, I'm curious, and it was interesting hearing you say that, Hayden, because I wasn't aware, like, is this season, I couldn't tell you how popular this season stacks up against other seasons, but I kind of a mixed bag, first impressions for me, but I enjoyed it.
So
This season
one
is
thing I
generally
will.
considered-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hayden.
I was just the season 1 is generally considered pretty weak or less
Mid.
good than the rest of it. Yeah.
So one thing I will tell you, and I think this will have you more excited, is they do tend to get a lot of new blood going into season 2 because now they're doing a full season, and that's where I think some of the Whedon, acolytes as they call them come in. Like I think Stephen DeKnight comes in this season, and next season and stuff like that. That's where the show finds its more of its identity. So, Robert, now is the $1 million question. What was the worst episode for you?
Okay, so let me just kind of look through. Because
I know John and I have the same answer.
Interesting. Okay, my worst is pretty easy. My worst is the pack. I don't know if that's...
Oh! No!
It's so bad.
The pack is peak.
They eat so the principal. That's awesome.
No, what's funny about the pack is you kind of have to see it.
That's what's weird. Okay. Since we're on it, that baffled me. Where you have the principal, the goofy, recurring character, and you figure, like in a normal show, oh, if we get rid of him, he's gonna get killed by a vampire, and that's like shit's gonna escalate. That's what a normal show would do. No, he dies in this goofy filler episode.
Okay, Robert, I have to ask that over I, Robot, You, Jane.
That's another solid contender.
That's the worst episode for me.
But the She-Mantis one is pretty bad.
That one was my kind of schlock. That one was funny bad.
What's funny, the She-Mantis is like probably the one you need the least because I, Robot, You, Jane has Jenny Calendar for first appearance, who I guess mild spoilers becomes a major character in 2.
Okay, is that the chick Giles is with?
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about? Okay.
The computer teacher.
Yeah.
No, that episode's terrible, but I liked some of the Willow stuff in it. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna fight you on that one.
Yeah. That's the one thing with the Mantis episode that keeps me from putting it at the bottom, is I like the stuff with Buffy and that teacher that believes in her, and like she gets a little bit of an emotional core throughout that episode of like, this is the only guy that's really believed in me since I got here. But
yeah, and that one was schlock I could enjoy. The pack was just like, oh god, seeing that cast act like hyenas, I couldn't take it. And then the surprise villain, I was like, oh, what are we doing?
The pack is my kind of schlock because the villain is stupid.
It's so bad.
It's probably one has the worst filler, and well, no, I think there's a filler in 2 I hate more.
2 has some pretty bad filler.
Yeah. Well, and so we were talking about like the plot heavy episodes and the filler episodes. I'd say of the plot heavy episodes, the one that was easily my least favorite, again, don't know if this is a hot take, was episode 5.
Yeah,
the one where
that's probably my favorite too.
That guy,
or my least favorite.
Yeah,
sorry.
Because that romance was very underdeveloped, and I did not care.
Yeah.
I like the idea at the end where she realizes, oh, he just wants to be with me for the adrenaline of like going out on these hunts, and I can't do that.
Yeah.
But no, and here's the problem. I've watched the show 3 or 4 times all the way through. I still don't understand what the Anointed One is, what that child does.
Yeah.
I really like the Master as a performance, but as a villain, he kind of sucks.
No, what's funny about the Master that I caught this time that I didn't remember because it's been a few years since I watched Buffy. I forgot he's like I'm gonna use the word goober. Like he's yapping in a way that I forgot. A bit like he's talking like a '90s guy, which is weird.
No,
think,
he feels like Whedon before Whedon has refined his villain dialogue.
Yes. I think the line from him that made me laugh the most was when it's probably the finale when the earthquake.
Yes, I was just
Yes.
thinking of
He
that.
says, did that sound like a 5.1?
Yeah.
No, he
That
has,
was fun.
and he has a lot of the what people make fun of now, that actually dialogue. Like, well, that just happened. Cool design though, cool performance.
Yes. Very Nosferatu-esque.
Yes.
I don't have any Buffy merch, so I just put my vampire
Close enough.
Funko Pops
See, what's funny,
behind me.
I'm a huge Buffy fan. I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't have anything.
Weird.
So I think I don't remember all of what we said in the pilot discussion, so some of this will go back. We'll go over that. But what I like in the pilot is the very beginning where it sets up you think this slasher thing is going to happen, but then it subverts the expectation with the blonde being the monster, which is cool. How did you feel about Darla?
Yeah, I wasn't. Well, obviously, I couldn't remember if she died in the pilot or not. But then I was surprised she ended up being kind of a recurring villain, and then she dies in the Angel episode.
Yes.
Right? Doesn't he kill her? Yeah. So I liked her as a villain, and as a contrast to Buffy, though. In hindsight, I feel like there's probably some missed opportunities there.
Yeah.
More you could have done with them together, but she was a fun recurring villain.
So I will just tell you, Angel is my favorite character in like this whole universe. But what I love about season 1 is he just kind of exists to go, hey, something bad's coming. Bye. My favorite Angel moment is when I think it's in the pilot when she's going down into the tunnels or whatever, and he just goes, "Good luck." After she's left, I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Robert, real quick, because I got sidetracked. So we've determined your two least favorite. What were your favorite episodes? Filler and non-filler, since you went that way.
Yeah, the Angel, the episode titled Angel, that one's pretty good. The third episode, which I liked, because that one immediately kind of gets you into what the formula is gonna be, but I like.
It's
the
also
premise of that one.
that episode's horrifying when you think about it.
Yeah,
Witch is a
that.
great-
Sorry, what?
Witch is a great episode.
And it sets up a formula of this season of there's a lot of whodunit episodes where you have like a really obvious or you think it's gonna be this person, but then it's actually this person the whole time. In that case, it's actually her mom who's the real bad guy. And yeah, that one really worked for me, and I think is like, if you're gonna call it filler, a good example of filler of just the freak of the week formula. And then the mantis one is like insane, and what are we doing? And the hyena one, the episode with the dummy's good. I like that one.
And it's weird too because the mantis one and the hyena one, as much as I love the hyena one because I think it's hilarious, those feel like those should be Xander episodes. But I don't know what to take away from his character from either of them. But real quick, Tyler's in the chat says 4-3 format tonight, very interesting. Well, we had to reference the fact that this is a television show. This is also the picture that
90s.
I found. Apparently, you were lower volume than me, so I turned your volume up.
I'll just scream. It's fine.
Ah!
Oh! So I think the way I would like to structure this, John, if you have idea, if you disagree, that's fine. But this is a very character-focused show, so I'd like to ask Robert how he feels about each character one by one.
We will here in a second because I plan to do that. But I want to get back to what we were talking about with the episodes that he mentioned. Because I had said, those should be. I feel like those are the Xander episodes. but I don't know if he gets anything out of either of them.
Not there's a moment at the end of the pack that I like where Giles is like he's saying he doesn't remember anything, and Giles goes, "There's nothing about memory loss with that spell or whatever," and he's like, don't tell them that."
Yeah.
That's a good scene. I just wish I felt like that had more impact later on.
Yeah.
So that is a criticism I have for this season. I'm not going to consider this a spoiler, but you know all the like things that they set up, like that that you know in the Invisible Girl episode when the military comes to take her away. We will never see that or think of it again.
Oh,
that's I wanted the Suicide Squad of invisible women.
Yeah. Oh.
So I'm gonna use that to kind of piggyback onto Hayden's idea, which I think is a good idea. And we're gonna, since we're talking about him right now, and he is kind of the big debate in the fandom that I have seen lately. How did you feel about Xander overall in this season?
He's my least favorite of the main crew by like a lot. I wouldn't say I hate him. It's just he's quippy and horny, and that's it. Like there is nothing else.
So there's been a lot of discussion around Xander recently because he is explicitly considered the Whedon insert character.
By the end of the season, I was starting to get that vibe. Yeah.
And people have been a little, in my opinion, a little annoying about that. Where they're going a little overboard with that. They're reading into a lot of Xander that I don't think is really there. But I do find him annoying in this season.
I am with him until the finale. I think he takes Buffy's rejection the wrong way.
Yes.
And it's just, I don't... However, really... what I like in that scene is he immediately moves on to Willow, and we get a moment of Willow standing up for herself, being like, "No, I'm not going to be your backup. Like, that's not fair to me."
Rebound, yeah. No, that was a good Willow scene. Because her, you could feel like there was actually some progression with her character. Xander, I haven't felt any of that yet. Like, he's just kind of the same guy he is at the start.
And Xander was always my least favorite of the main crew throughout the whole show. So I'm not gonna... Yeah, I agree.
He's probably my least favorite too overall, but I still like him, especially when you get later on and we flesh out some of his backstory.
And I'm expecting that. It's only the first season, so like I could let that slide. But if we're gonna get a lot of like love triangle, Xander, Buffy, and Angel later on, I'm like, yeah, I prefer Angel. He's way more interesting.
Tyler asks, would you say overall that you were happy with the season? You seem pretty okay with it.
Yeah, like I enjoyed it. Like I knew what I was getting myself into, and flaws and all. Like I had a good time. Again, it's unfair coming in with like the Smallville baggage and things that this influenced, and not just taking it on its own terms. Because we probably talked about this with the pilot. You know, it's vampire action, but also as a superhero show. And immediately, and that's also unfair to it, but it's like, oh god, I'm so sick of what this formula became of. It's a superhero show, and they have the superhero team who helps them out.
Yeah,
and I'm sick of it. But it's not the show's fault.
Yeah,
like Team Flash is like the worst example of that, and Team Arrow.
I will say I like it here more than anything in the Arrowverse because it's more so this is what sets her apart from other Slayers. They don't go into it a lot, but you might have picked up on this. Is Slayers are normally solitary figures. Like they will have a watcher and that's it. They don't make friends. They don't make connections. And the fact that she is kind of what sets her apart. And you know, just Willow's great. Xander has his uses.
Yeah. And I think that's one of my issues with Xander is I've seen him described as, you know, he's at least so far, the damsel in distress in this show who often needs rescuing because we're doing a gender flip thing. But the difference with him and a character like Lois Lane is Lois Lane still does stuff and contributes. And it's like the stuff you would typically give him to do, we have Giles for.
Yes.
And even Willow to an extent. So at least with this first season, that's one of my issues. Is I don't feel like Xander gets to contribute a lot. He's just kind of there. He says his quips. He's really horny, and he's kidnapped and rescued and rinse repeat. I feel like he doesn't get to contribute a lot.
What I don't mind about that though is they kind of build that into his character. Like we talked about, his reaction to Buffy saying, I don't see you that way. I think ties into maybe one of the themes of his character in this season, which is he doesn't want to feel helpless. He doesn't want to feel useless, but he does. Now, whether or not season 2 will flesh that out, we'll see. But
a character that I see Xander compared to a lot is Sokka. From Avatar, and I don't agree with that.
I think that's just base level. He is comedy relief character.
Yeah.
He's the one with nothing else going on. Like
I will say later on, I can kind of see that because Xander does kind of step into more of like a fighter role in later seasons. But
because if you're gonna go with that comparison, Sokka has like a big character shift in terms of being humbled in like episode 5 or 4. Yeah, Xander, we haven't really gotten that yet. And I don't know. And I definitely have two minds of that scene in the finale when he asks Buffy out and she rejects him. He obviously, like you said, John, takes it the wrong way. And like the writing of all that is fine. It just doesn't make me like him more. But then we'll see if later seasons, if there is actual growth.
I think if there was one thing I would change is I would have the apology scene in the finale. Because I don't mind him reacting like that because he's hurt and he's doing what he does, which is using humor to cover that. But then him and Buffy never have that follow-up moment in this season of like, I messed up. I'm sorry. Like, I still want to be your friend. And obviously he's not going to stop being her friend because, there's 6 more seasons of this show. But I think you needed that in this in the finale if you're going to do it there. Because that does feel like, well, we set this up a few episodes ago that he has feelings for her. It's the final episode. We don't know if we're coming back yet when we're writing this. We gotta just wrap it up.
Yeah, I found the finale surprisingly unfulfilling and kind of rushed, but I wondered, I did have that feeling at the end of how much of that was just, oh, we don't know if we're getting another season or not, so let's just kind of...
I like a lot of the character stuff in the finale. I think the villain plan is what suffers, which is what leads the Master to just kind of be like, eh.
Oh.
Yeah. And then it just kind of ends.
It does,
I think the exact text I sent John was, I forgot about the Master and his fuck-ass skeleton. Because that department store skeleton when he dies, just hanging out.
It's so good.
So let's move on from Xander for now, and we'll move to the other member. So I don't know if you know this, but I think I don't know if it's in the show, but the fandom calls them the Scooby Gang.
It's in the show a little bit.
It is in the show. Okay.
There's an episode where Willow is wearing a Scooby-Doo t-shirt. Yes. I did notice that.
So I'm glad you brought her up because I was going to ask how did you feel about Willow this season?
I like her fine. I don't love her or anything, but there is a degree of growth for her throughout the season and some standout moments, like you mentioned earlier, that I liked. So like I'd say like she's fine. She has her moments. I don't feel strongly.
I told Hayden. So I saw Allison Hannigan in this before anything else. So when I go and see her in like American Pie or How I Met Your Mother, it's so weird because it's just like in my brain it's Willow. But she's not acting anything like Willow.
Robert won't know anything about this, but I laughed really hard in the Nightmares episode when she's scared to sing because Allison Hannigan is the only one of the cast that does not sing in the musical episode because she didn't want to.
Yeah,
that's really funny. And that episode was right after the episode with the dummy with the talent show, and we were exploring her stage fright and not wanting to participate there. So I was like, there's some consistency.
I have a funny story with that. So there's a Buffy game. I've played a little bit of it on the channel before, and we will play it at some point, but I want to get you further in the show because that'll spoil things. But for whatever reason, they bring that dummy back. And not only is he a main character, you play as him for a level.
Hell yeah.
I mean, he is a demon hunter.
I love Sid. That might be one of my favorite filler episodes because it's just like, what are we doing? Like, you brought Slappy in here and made him perverted. Like, what are we doing? No, he looks like Slappy from Goosebumps.
Oh, it does. Well,
He
it's
does.
that is like TV filler formula 101. It's you got to do the dummy episode. Like it's obligatory, but I was fine with it. I
Yeah.
thought it fit in this universe, and you had a nice twist at least of like, oh, he's not the actual bad guy. So
No,
that
I
was a
love
little
that
different.
moment where they confront each other and they're like both accusing each other and they go, "Wait, what?"
Sorry to make this a weird format, but we didn't talk about the Invisible episode at all. How'd you feel about that one?
Oh, I like that one. That one, I think, because if you're also gonna ask like who my other least favorite character is,
Yeah.
it's obviously Cordelia,
Oh,
who for most of the season is in the background and is
Yeah.
one note and doesn't get a
Yeah.
lot to do. But that is an episode that she gets to be more involved with and is some much needed growth for her. So I like that stuff.
I love that moment where her and Buffy finally have that talk and she's like, you think I'm not alone just because I'm surrounded by people," or something to that effect.
Except she keeps being a pain in the ass after that scene
Yes.
in the episode.
Well, yeah, because we're not there yet. No, she kind of serves a base purpose here. It feel what I like about her in this season though is she is the parallel to Buffy, because the idea is that's who Buffy used to be.
It is funny seeing like her name like with the main cast in the opening credits where most episodes she's only in like one or two scenes. Like she's so in the background.
I think it's
For
the
so
pilot where she's like, "What is your childhood trauma?" I want to start using that.
Oh, how do you feel about the theme?
I like it. It's very cheesy and of its time, but I'm cool with it. Especially the like every generation there's a Slayer, which you get in most episodes except for the ones where they have the previously on.
Yeah.
So I'm curious moving forward, like if we ditch the first
Well-
one and just do previously ons every episode.
We will
That does
ditch
go
that
away
at some point, and then the theme it'll stay the same arrangement, but they do change the pitch a little bit going in
Okay.
later seasons, and it sounds better.
Sounds better. Sounds better later
Okay.
because I was talking to John about this and I'm like, why is the theme pitched up? Because I'm so used to the real one later, and John's like, no, and then he watched it and he's like, oh, okay, I hear it now.
Yeah, I never thought about it until he said something. So we went to Willow. You talked a little bit about Cordelia. Not a whole lot to say about her. I'm saving Buffy for last, so we'll go with Giles, who I like a lot. I love Giles in this season. How did you feel about Giles?
Giles is my favorite character in Buffy, but
Yeah, he's great. He's like the obvious fan favorite character. He's a fan favorite for a reason. Like,
Yes.
yeah, he's great. That actor's great. He's great in
Repo.
Repo. There you go. Yeah, he's great in that. That first thing I see him in is Ted Lasso. Actually,
I've never seen that.
he plays an asshole in that show.
That's
that's
awesome.
I have Apple TV. I should check that out.
I will watch that if he's in. Is he like a major character or?
Oh yeah, like he's in every season.
You might have
he's
just sold me
the-
on that show because I love that actor, but he's like not in anything I want to watch.
Yeah.
Well, Percy Jackson too, John.
Yeah. I know.
Oh god. No, it takes a few episodes for him to actually show up in Ted Lasso, but he plays the ex-husband of one of the main characters.
Okay.
Okay.
So like he's very relevant and he's in every season. But yeah, he's great in that show and he's great here. It's like, yeah. I don't know what else to say. It's just yeah, he's great. But it's earlier, Hayden, you mentioned that lady, the teacher that
Yeah.
he
Jenny
interacts
Calendar.
with. And I wasn't sure. I was like, is she gonna be a villain? Like, and then I guess not. I guess she's just part of the crew now. But I had no idea like what to expect from her character. I thought she might be a surprise villain at some point.
I what I like with Giles is that he is the serious guy, but he's also funny at times. Like there's some really funny moments with him. And I like that he we don't force him to stay the mentor role. Like, you can see very early on that he's starting to like actually care about Buffy and be involved with her life. And
Mhm.
you can see Whedon's superhero sensibilities coming out. So I've always said that Buffy is like Spider-Man mixed with like not like a Van Helsing or something, you know, with because of what she fights. He is both Uncle Ben, and that like he is the mentor and like the guiding force behind what Buffy's doing, but also just her dad in a way. And I find that they balance that really well.
Yeah, I was looking at it from more of a Batman perspective, where he's like Alfred and Commissioner
Yeah.
Gordon in
Yes,
one.
that's a better
Kind of.
comparison. I was like, I like the Uncle Ben thing made sense because it's the Spider-Man thing, but I
Yeah.
know that there's something I'm missing. Alfred, yes,
Well, and with the high school drama backdrops, right? It's you're spot on. Like it's a lot of superhero shows are often what we'll look at Spider-Man more than
yes.
anything. Um, like Batman Beyond is just Spider-Man, but with Batman in the future. Lots of shows with this type of formula and trying to balance her social life with her vampire hunting life. And there wasn't. I'm not saying this like it's a bad thing. It's just surprising. There isn't as much like of of Buffy's vampire slayer life interfering with her personal life as I was expecting. Like, oh, I missed a test because I was fighting vampires, or like the cheerleader episode with the witch is a perfect example where what you assume it's gonna be is, oh no, I was late for cheerleading practice because I was fighting vampires, and there isn't as much of that in this show so far as I was expecting.
There's some
More
key
just like
moments, but
relationship drama. Yeah, yeah.
a lot of it is just she'll mention something like, "Oh, I didn't have time to study for this test," or my favorite one is when she's
underplayed.
my favorite one is when she's trying to leave school, and I think it's in the pilot, the second episode of the pilot, and the teacher's like, "No,"
The principal,
or the principal, yeah,
who will be eaten by hyena people
yeah.
5 episodes later.
They were very careful not to put Xander in the group that ate the principal. You noticed that?
Yes, yeah.
I want to talk about the second principle, but I know I can't beat my allegations of never staying through a whole thing. I'll be right back.
There he goes again.
Okay, so we'll talk about the second principle.
We'll talk about him when he gets back because I don't know what Adon's going to ask. So I'm going to ask you about Angel, who's my favorite character. How did you feel about that, and especially in his episode, which is where most of his development for the season comes in?
And lore. Yeah, I like him. The performance is great. The classic, like, tortured.
Would you believe me that
soul.
this is Borneaz's first ever acting gig?
That's cool. Yeah. He's good. Like, he's quality. He's very well cast, and that's the problem. Is him and Sarah Michelle Gellar have such good chemistry that with her and Xander, I'm like, yeah, I'm not shipping this.
No. No. And that's why, like, I feel bad for Xander because we've all been there.
Yeah.
But it's also
and
it's also like, come on, dude, be realistic. Like,
I get it because it's a finale and you have the dance everything coming up, but I had kind of wished like her rejection and his response to that. I had wished he probably should have done that like a couple episodes earlier, maybe in the lead up to the finale, and then like you said, we could have actually talked about it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't think saving all that for the finale was a good idea. But yeah, Angel's great. The only part in that episode I wasn't crazy about is it's just the lack of communication thing. So there's the really funny, because I think it's the episode titled Angel, where there's a really funny setup where it's a Darla who attacks Buffy's mom, and then makes it look like Angel did it, and then she throws Angel out of the house. I'm like, dude, say something. Say, okay, I didn't bite her. It was the Starla bitch, but peace, I'm out.
To be fair, I think they established, because when she goes to hunt him down, he's trying to get her to do it. He's not telling her on purpose because he wants her to put him out of his misery.
Yeah, and that's fair. That stuff I think could have had more build up. And again, not fair to the show, but I'm like, well, I know he gets his own show, like that. So there's no stakes for me watching that
Yeah.
episode, where it's like, yeah, so. But yeah, that's fair.
No, I don't see a lot of stakes. I just anytime we get an Angel episode, I like it because I think he has such an interesting lore and
Dilemma.
dilemma. And I am convinced that Stephanie Myers loves this show. I'm convinced that Edward Cullen is just a ripoff of Angel.
That totally tracks, because a big thought I had was like, it was because obviously there was a lot of discourse around Twilight when that was really popular, but I don't remember hearing people saying, "Oh my God, this is just ripping off Buffy." But my thought watching this was like, "Oh my God, this is ripping off Buffy."
So John told me something I didn't know about when we were watching the show earlier this week. The villain of the season 8 comics is named Twilight.
Yeah, they do that.
That's dumb.
That is dumb. And
I don't
and no, it's even worse. It is a being that possesses Angel. So it is a vampire named Twilight.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this is Borneaz's first acting gig. And out of everyone, he's had the most successful career. He has not stopped working since this show aired. Because immediately once Angel ends, he goes to Bones. And the minute Bones ended, he was on that Navy SEAL show, which I love Borneaz. I'm not watching that. I'm sorry.
I'm not watching Bones either.
I tried with Bones.
My mom and my sister were really into Bones back in the day.
It didn't need to be 12 seasons.
That's what I think of him from. Yeah.
I also I want to ask you if you agree with me. This is just me being self-indulgent. In the 90s, if we'd ever made a Batman TV show, right there. Borneaz.
Yeah, no, maybe early 2000s.
Late 90s, early 2000s. I think he could have done it.
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, Edward Cullen's just a ripoff of the Angel, and then Robert Pattinson plays Batman.
Yeah, it's all full circle. So what's interesting about this show too, Robert, is because the reason that this season is only 12 episodes is this is a mid-season replacement for another show. And I always wondered, do you think the people that made that other show, it's called, I think, Savannah, are like, man, our show ended and like one of the most important and popular cult shows of all time is what replaced us? That's crazy. Did you have anything else you want to say about Angel?
Less pertaining to this season and more just a question, without spoiling anything or getting into specifics with what the comics do. Do both Buffy and Angel, like, do they have proper series finales, or is one of them just canceled and cut off?
Buffy has a proper finale. Angel is canceled. So it ends on a cliffhanger. But I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate that cliffhanger for being thematically tying into what that show is about, which is Never Stop Fighting. But that is a show that if you're a purist like me and want to see what would have happened next, you have to go to comics.
Okay, that's unfortunate. And Angel, does that end after Buffy's ended?
Yeah, so they air concurrently from Buffy season 4 to its final season, and then Angel goes for 1 year after that.
There are maniacs who watch it like starting with season 4. You do a Buffy and an Angel and a Buffy and an Angel. We're not doing that. But...
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
But raises a good question though of like how necessary is that? Because I don't know how often they cross over back and forth.
So it's not.
It's Buffy alone, and I've never finished Angel. So
it's not. There's one episode that is thematically tied to an episode of Angel. Like, if you watch them back to back, you get the entire scope from everyone's point of view. But starting in season 5 of Buffy, I might be wrong on this, and if anybody's watching, feel free to correct me. The story I've always read is that Buffy moved to a different network at the time, and it was UPN and WB weren't communicating, so they squashed any further real crossovers. Like, Willow could go over to Buffy or to Angel like for an episode, but they couldn't do a proper like crossover.
And
Interesting.
Angel shows up a few times in later Buffy, but I don't know about
Okay.
Buffy and
Because
Angel. I'm not sure.
that's one thing that really hurts some of those later CWDC shows is those are it gets to a point where there's like 4 or 5 shows airing concurrently, and when you get to the big crossover episodes, like
Yeah.
you are fucked if you're not keeping up with everything because you're gonna be lost.
No,
'Cause
we
those
didn't.
shows cross over a lot.
Whedon designed all of those shows to kind of stand alone. There is one arc in season 4 of Buffy and season 1 of Angel that I think is better if you watch from here these 2 episodes of Buffy and move over to Angel to see the finish of that. But it's not like you're missing anything if you just watch all through Buffy.
Okay. Gotcha. And I had also asked that just about the comics. So it sounds like with the Buffy comics, it was like, well, this is popular name recognition. Let's do more of this. Angel was more of a, no, this is like finishing a story.
Yeah, Buffy,
so
I don't like Buffy's final season much. Like, it has a lot of problems. I'm going to probably be very angry when we have to get there, but season 8 through, I think they went to 12, are just, if you want more, there's more.
And I've read a little bit of 8, and I have some problems with where it goes.
Oh.
And Whedon wrote it, and I'm like, ugh.
There's some problems, but I can't tell you anything because there's characters that haven't been introduced yet. But, yeah.
There's some weird stuff.
Gotcha.
So, let's see. We covered Buffy, Angel, Willow. So, Hadan wanted to talk about... We'll get there. But Hadan wanted to talk about Snyder, which, Robert, are you a Star Trek fan? I don't remember.
Very, very casually.
Well, that guy is most famous for Quark in DS9.
Okay. And I haven't seen DS9 yet. Okay. But that's cool.
I love Principal Snyder. He doesn't want to be there.
So, what I love about Snyder is Flutie kind of but Buffy is able to get away with a lot of her Slayer activities with Flutie around, and then Snyder shows up, and immediately it's way more of a pain in the ass.
And I was expecting him to be a twist villain too. I was like, oh, is he a plant? Is he in cahoots with somebody? And then, no, I guess he's just an asshole.
Yeah,
he's an asshole.
He continues to be an asshole.
Yes.
All while Buffy's through high school. So.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the main characters herself, who I think carries this season. I think Sarah Michelle Gellar is amazing in this season. How did you feel about Buffy herself?
She's great. I think one of her best scenes is in the Nightmares episode when she sees her dad. And it's not a real conversation, but she thinks it's real. Yeah, it's so cruel, but she plays it so well.
I think her best scene is in the finale when she's.
I think her best scene is in the finale when she overhears the prophecy.
That's good stuff. And yeah, like with the finale, it's like I really dug the first half of it, and then the back half just felt really rushed. And I felt like I was missing something, but it's like, oh no, the villain killed it. She's resuscitated. She's fine. Oh, okay. And then I just their final fight's pretty anticlimactic, and I was like, oh, okay.
That does matter later.
That will matter.
I wondered. Yeah. And like I said earlier, it really felt like with this finale, because usually you expect like a big cliffhanger or some more significant status quo shift, but it really feels like, in case we're not renewed, everything's basically wrapped up. But the character dynamics, they're just exactly the way they are. There's not any major change or resolution there.
And like the fight's happening, and I happen to click on the screen, and I'm like, "There's only 4 minutes left." Why?
I kind of like that it's like this big prophecy. And she's terrified. It's like, yeah, I died, and then I came back, and it's fine.
That is sort of a theme through Buffy. Is like this big thing's happening.
Yeah. I I really like where they use the theme in this episode. Because we will spoilers, we will never do that again. This is like the only place they do it, so it's kind of really weird. But I do like when we do stuff like that.
It reminded me of Peacemaker season 1 when the theme song kicks in the finale.
It's cool.
Well, one thing I do like about it though, with it because it's her drowning, I think you could almost have a read that it's her being baptized in a way. Yeah. Like she went down there a scared 16-year-old, and when she comes back, she is the Slayer.
Yeah, that like on paper, that's all fine. I think it's just given the pacing and runtime of the episode, we just get through that very quickly. You expect a sequence like that to be drawn out more.
Do you agree with this, that maybe we should have cut, like, say, the Mantis episode or something to that effect to give this a two-parter like the premiere?
Probably, because I was expecting a 2-part finale, and is the second to last one the Invisible?
Yes.
One. Yes. Yeah, and like I liked that episode, but I was like, oh no, I guess this is just more filler. I was expecting a 2-part finale. It could have used that, I think.
Yeah, I would have cut one of the filler episodes and done this a 2-part. So how crazy is it that it's a 2-part pilot, but not a finale?
It's very strange, and that would be more normal if it was like a 20-episode season. Yeah. You know? But at 12 episodes, you expect kind of something more drawn out for the climax. And then, when we bring in that kid, the master, like you said, loses a lot of his menace. He's around with this kid.
This is gonna be more for Hayden, but he kind of turns into the villain from Power Rangers SPD, where he has like no menace, and now he just has a kid hanging around for no reason.
No, Grum's cool. Shut up.
No.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Does that kid? Is this a spoiler to ask this question? Like, does that kid come back?
He has one. He has one appearance in season 2 to kind of just. Okay. We're done with that now.
They're like, no.
Yeah. So with season 2, it's like both an excitement and worry of like, I don't necessarily. Given the quality of some of the filler episodes in season 1, I don't know if I want a 20-episode season 2, but maybe they do handle that stuff a bit better. We'll see.
I will say in season 2, some of the filler is still kind of rough. Like there's some rough episodes. They don't really get that together until 3, in my opinion. But you get more story episodes. And the actual story of 2 is fucking incredible in my opinion.
Okay, that's good.
And it has my favorite villain in the Buffyverse.
Okay, cool.
I'm trying to see.
Yeah, I don't know if Angel becomes like a main cast member in season 2, but like I know he's on the poster. Like when season 2 they're. I could just tell from the box art that they knew, oh, this guy's a fan favorite. Let's
up the screen time.
Let's catch that.
He's definitely more prominent.
He is a main character of 2 and 3, and then he will move over to his show.
Gotcha.
I must go now. My show needs me.
And so one of my favorite things is when we get when he has to do just like weird stuff. Like there's episodes where Borneas has to kind of go outside of his comfort zone, and you can tell he's not quite there yet, and it's awesome. Jenny Calendar's not really she's not really anything yet, but how did you feel about Joyce, who might be the worst mom of all time? No, that's being that's overselling.
She gives her daughter space, and that's good sometimes.
Sure.
No, I love Joyce. It just takes a while for her to warm up to her.
It's really funny in the Angel episode when Buffy's like trying to hide him, and then he's like, "Hi," And she's like, oh, you have a boy over. And then she's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go upstairs. And I'm like, you're not gonna kick this guy out of your house first?
It'll be a while. But in 3, there's a filler with Joyce that's one of my favorite episodes of
Excellent.
Buffy.
Also, I just found out that so that actress, Joyce's actress, is Christine Sutherland, and I just found out she voices random NPCs in GTA 5,
Hell
which
yeah.
is awesome.
That's awesome.
And what's funny is I read today actually her stage name, because her real name's not Sutherland. Her stage name is named after Donald Sutherland, who's in the Buffy
That's
movie.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
No, I don't know if you know this. The Buffy movie has like an insane cast. Ben Affleck is in that movie for some reason.
For like a second. He's
Yeah.
not even like
No, it's just like he's there. No, it'll be interesting to see that movie once you get further, I think, into the Buffyverse. Because this show doesn't really follow the movie. It's just, well, we're doing what we'd wanted to do originally anyway. Just
except the movie sorta happens, but differently, and we flash back to that in season 3, I think.
We talked about that when we talked about the pilot, because I noticed that like the show doesn't start with like a proper origin, you know, like she is already
the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, so I assumed that it was kind of a halfway continuation of what the movie was doing.
I had one more thing about the movie though. That movie does feature Pee Wee Herman as a vampire.
Hell yeah. And are any of these other characters in the movie, or is the movie completely different? Supporting. Okay.
So the idea is that the movie happened, and then she moved to, or a version of the movie happened, and then she moved to Sunnydale. Because that movie's climax is in a gym, I believe. It's been a minute since I've seen it.
And the gym burns down.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
And the gym burns down, but it doesn't quite line up. That's just they mention that in the show, but it's more like, if you know, you know. Because this was before we had to stop and explain it, explain everything. But Robert, is there anything else you really want to talk about? Anything else that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I enjoyed it plenty. The Mantis episode was insane and hilarious. Yeah, dude, that hyena episode, Jesus Christ.
That hyena episode is peak. I don't know what's wrong with you. I also love that they ate the pig.
Yeah, and another thing this show does that is reminiscent of Smallville and, you know, all of its imitators is so many people die at the school, and it's like barely an inconvenience. I'm like,
so
why is the school shut down? Like, somebody dies prepping for a talent show, and it's like, oh, the show must go on. I'm like, don't you want to like shut the school down?
There's a line in season 3 that makes me laugh every time. Somebody goes, "We're a shoo-in for the football finals this year. If our football players stop going missing."
Oh, that's great.
Teddy says it's funny how goofy this season is. Yeah,
it's very goofy.
It's definitely leaning into the schlocky stuff while keeping, I think all of the characters you can take seriously.
Yeah, let's talk more about the robot episode, because that one's your favorite.
Oh, good.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Just utter insanity.
Yeah, that
is the most 90s episode of television of all time.
Once we start talking about virtual reality, I'm like, oh god, here we go.
That demon looks like a Power Ranger villain.
He does.
And I mean a specific Power Ranger villain, and I sent it to John, and he was like, "Oh my god, it's exact."
Buffy had a line in that episode that made me laugh. So there's the stuff, but like the stuff with Willow, I kind of liked. I'm like, this is either super dated or super ahead of its time, and I can't tell.
It's
'Cause
somehow
stuff-
both.
Yeah, she has this creepy pen pal, who's her online boyfriend, and getting into like the dangers of that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. It just goes about it in an insane way. But then Buffy has a line that made me laugh out loud, but first she's like, well, what if he has like a hairy back or something? And it's like, I don't know, I think there's worse things. I think there's worse scenarios, like this guy being, I don't know, a middle-aged man, among other things. But then Buffy's like, what if he's like a circus freak? And I'm like, whoa, that's like very unwoke, Buffy. It's like, what if he's a disgusting circus freak?
I mean,
Dear God,
Buffy is kind of an unwoke person.
No, there's an episode somewhere where one of them drops the R word. I was like, you could get away with that now.
That tracks. Nope.
Is that this season?
Yeah, no. Somebody said it was one of the episodes we watched.
I don't remember that.
I think it might have been Cordelia that said it.
That wouldn't shock me. Yeah.
No. So I'm not going to tell you anything specific, but I do love Cordelia, and part of that is she's going to be around for a long time.
I figured.
Yeah. No, she's a main character in Angel.
Yeah, she moves over to Angel as
okay.
a main character there. Teddy asks, the hyena episode never comes back, but is a huge point against Xander when one of the big arcs comes up.
I don't remember that.
I don't know which arc he would be talking about. And don't spoil it yet.
Yeah, don't say anything.
It's funny for as much self-contained filler as there is this season. You have the Invisible Girl episode that ends like on a cliffhanger, and then you tell me we're never gonna follow it up. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Well, so does the Manus. There's like more eggs, and then you're like, oh.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Oh, that's funny.
And that also never comes back.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, also with the Invisible Girl, you also had Discount Shield show up to take her away, and I wondered,
those FBI agents were weird.
They are. I'm like, I guess they don't come back either.
Yeah, no, none of that stuff is ever mentioned again.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's why I said like you need to watch this because it sets up characters and like where we're going. But plot wise, we do away with like everything from this season quick.
So I'm not going to tell you where it is or like what it's involved with, but there is a military subplot in a future season. It's not the same military, which is really funny.
Yeah. No, so one of the things that changes is a woman named Marty Knox is promoted to like a higher up writer, and you can tell immediately like, oh, we've gotten new talent. And she's great. She works on the show for the rest of its run. And I think you'll notice even in the beginning, like there's some weird episodes in season 2, but you can tell immediately like, oh, this is a step up. We have more money, better writers. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what you think of season 2 when we get there. The first half isn't my favorite, but gotta watch it.
Yeah.
And you'll meet Seth Green next season, I think. Your favorite character.
Another Scooby-Doo alumni. It's all connected.
It is all connected.
Well, apparently him and Sarah Michelle Gellar like go way back.
That's funny. Yeah, because I know her from the Scooby-Doo movies before anything else. So
that makes me feel
long enough.
Thanks,
I'm finally watching.
Well, what's funny is they just turned Daphne into Buffy in those because
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you something now, and I don't remember. Oh, so their like extra friend in the pilot, that is
the one that turns into a vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know? So Hadan and I watched the two-parter, the pilot together. I was like, I know this guy from something. Have you seen the Texas Chainsaw remake? I don't remember.
Who,
Rob?
me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We've talked about it many times.
I couldn't remember. He is Jessica Biel's boyfriend that gets his face cut off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
When I rewatched the pilot, I was like, oh yeah, this guy was familiar. Who is he? Oh yeah, he's in Texas Chainsaw. He is.
Face guy.
I feel bad for him. It's like, imagine just being like a fake out main character for like a pilot of a show that then becomes this big phenomenon. It's like, oh, that sucks.
Well, I always think about because
bring me back as my twin brother.
I always think about Kirsty. I think it's Kirsty Swanson, who's Buffy in the movie.
Swanson. Yeah.
Can you imagine you play that character and then it gets popular by going into TV and somebody else is playing that exact same character? Because that's something I had the last time I watched the Buffy movie. Is I feel like a lot of the Whedon dialogue is there. She doesn't know how to deliver it. One thing that I will give this cast is they know how to deliver Whedon dialogue to make it like sound good. Because we've heard badly delivered Whedon dialogue, and that I don't think this season has that.
Hayden, have you seen Psych, the TV show? Because she's a recurring character in the later seasons of that, but she's introduced in like a vampire themed spoof episode. Corey Feldman's also in that episode in a cameo.
Wait, who's a reoccurring?
Kirsty Swanson, the
OG
okay.
Buffy. Okay.
She become Lassiter's girlfriend in the later.
Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah.
There is an unaired pilot for this show that's really interesting because Willow's played like by a different actress. I don't think Xander's there.
Was it Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yes.
Okay. So
and
she was
the same.
Yeah, I think her and Giles are the only two that are the same.
Unaired pilots are so weird. I was saying earlier it's gotta suck being in a pilot and then getting killed off and not being part of. This is probably worse. Being cast in a pilot that is then reshot without you and then becomes a popular show.
So my favorite. Well, never mind. We'll talk about that off camera.
Teddy.
No, I was just.
Because Teddy refuses to learn our names. So this is bottom guy and top guy's rewatch and middle guy's first time. Yes.
That's correct. Yeah. Oh, you're always on the top, Hayden.
Oh, I don't like that.
Have I sent you that American Dad image where it's Roger doing this? That's.
No, I don't know what Hayden was gonna say, but what I was gonna say is they have a pilot like that for Mighty Morphin, like the original Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's what I was
and it's so funny because it is the most like lifeless pilot I have ever seen. and
there's that really, and Trini's a different actress. But what's funny is there's that like Dark Side of the Power Rangers documentary that sucks, and they were trying to make it like paint Saban in a bad light with that actress being like, yeah, I couldn't make it out to LA to film the real pilot, so they recast me, and I'm really sad about it. And I'm like, that's not Saban's fault. Sorry, it's not. Why are you on this?
That's what happens. I don't know. But one I've seen footage from is John. There's an unaired Drake and Josh pilot.
Oh,
that's it's like the same pilot, but Josh's dad is played by a different actor, and it's so weird.
That is weird.
That'd be cool.
But like, just imagine being a part of something like that and being told like, okay, everything works except for you specifically, so we gotta redo it.
I think the worst person, the actor I feel the most bad for of all time right now is original Vigilante in Peacemaker.
Oh, sure.
They filmed like 6 episodes with him, and then Gunn's like, no. And then
I mean, the guy that's really good, so I don't know.
I agree, but
I don't know. It happens. It's show business.
You know, I want to talk about the Nightmare episode for a minute because I like a lot of the concepts in there. I think it's a cool take on the Nightmare on Elm Street thing. I couldn't stop laughing when Xander's just like walking through the hospital and it's like a PSA cartoon where he just keeps finding chocolate that keeps taking him further into the hospital and he keeps eating it.
Talk about the spray painted swastikas on the wall. Did I imagine that?
No. No. I was talking to John about this. Xander's scared of Nazis, which is
Sure.
Yeah. But
Like that's fine, but the scene is so weird because he walks around and he's like, "Oh, chocolate," and I'm like, "What's happening?" It's so weird. And then like the clown's great. That part that's a good Xander moment, I think, when he punches the clown.
Yeah.
I like that bit.
No, I like the moment. I think it's right after that where him and Willow are talking about like some birthday party, and then that's when it dawns on them that he freaked out over a clown.
As most people would.
I don't know.
Like
I don't get what's so scary about regular clowns.
everything.
Oh,
they're horrifying.
Have we discovered Robert's true fear?
No, it's less a fear and more just I think they should all die. Like,
okay.
I don't know.
Wow.
I think 98% of people hate clowns and the other 2% are clowns. Like I don't know.
I don't hate clowns. I just don't care.
He's just a chill guy who wants to kill all the clowns.
Like a deep phobia of them. They're I don't like them.
I'm not scared, but if I saw one, I'd kill him.
Hayden, I think that was a Game Grumps bit. I just quoted. It's like, yeah, like who likes clowns? Like I don't get it. I don't find them funny. I don't get it. Like
Teddy said that season 5 has his favorite big bad. You were incorrect.
Wow.
Teddy, the unaired pilot had a different Willow. I think so. It's been a minute since I've looked at it. That's a curiosity before it's like, oh, I really like this unaired pilot. Like,
Have you ever seen the footage from the Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh, I didn't know there was
it's
one.
Weird. The tone is so different. Yeah, it's like, oh god, it's weird.
Interesting. I'll have to track that down. Teddy sadly puts down my clown nose. Yeah, Robert's gonna kill you.
The unaired pilot. Everyone's the same except Willow.
Damn.
Xander, Cordelia, Giles, and Buffy are all the same, and then Willow's different.
Oh, okay.
Damn. Sucks for that actress.
Yeah.
And Angel and Darla are also the same.
That's really funny.
And of course, Darla, that's Julie Benz, who would go on to be in Punisher Warzone, Dexter, George of the Jungle 2, you know.
God. I never saw that one.
I did, unfortunately.
Who played the Brendan Fraser part in that? I don't even know.
Not Brendan Fraser, because that movie, I don't know if you know this, but that movie has a whole scene where the announcer asks where Brendan Fraser is, and not Brendan Fraser replies, the studio was too cheap to pay for Brendan Fraser. It's like the only funny joke in that movie.
That trend was like all the rage at that time. There was that. There was the Inspector Gadget sequel with the different cast.
Yeah.
There was that Dumb and Dumber prequel that I never saw.
Well, and George of the Jungle, even that first one gets kind of weirdly meta. Like, I don't know if you remember, but there's that scene where the villain argues with the narrator for like 5 minutes.
I loved that movie when I was a kid.
I did too. I'm scared to go back to it, but I loved it as a kid. So George of the Jungle 2 is Christopher Showerman.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
He played Agent Moore in an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's something.
That's theater. And then a play, he was King Triton in a play version of The Little Mermaid.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah, it seems like he's just
Oop.
like a character actor.
We've lost the
Yeah,
plot.
right on.
We have. Yeah, I mean, I like season 5 a lot, Teddy, but we'll be there by like 2030 at the rate we go.
Yeah.
Robert, let's move into wrap up. So my question for wrap up is predictions or anything you want to see from the first half of 2.
Yeah, I guess I don't really have any strong predictions just because more got wrapped up than I was expecting. You know, I hope we get some more development for Xander. We're gonna get more Angel, so that's good. Willow, obviously, I'm expecting more growth from, and I guess Cordelia, because it's not until like the very end of the season we see her more involved with the main crew and like know what's going on. So I'm curious to see where that goes. That's like aside from just killing the big bad, that is like I think the most significant status quo shift in this finale is just, oh, she's part of the main crew now and like knows that there's vampires. So I'm curious how that's gonna form too.
You reminded me. I don't know how this reminded me, but did you love that like cheap plant animatronic in the finale that comes out of nowhere?
With the velociraptor sounds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I can't tell if they're just like ripping that audio or if they're just like doing the same method, because I think it was like rubber gloves on violin strings or something that made that velociraptor noise, but they play it a lot.
No, that's Godzilla, Robert.
Okay. But yeah, I was just like, oh, this plant creature sounds like a velociraptor.
They do move in herds.
When you first see it show up, like, what the hell? Okay, and did I miss something? Like, do they explain what that is?
No.
Or am I okay?
No, because the Master's plan is kind of insanely simple. He just wants to get out of that cave.
As you would. Yeah, that's fair.
But for whatever reason, the only way he can get out of that cave is to kill the Slayer, who then comes right back.
Yeah, and there's a good scene with Willow in the finale when like that they find those dead bodies.
Yes.
In that one room in the school, and she's like kind of traumatized.
Well, and I like that is what motivates Buffy to be like, I have to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that all is great. It's just the unfortunate. It's like this show is it's kind of half serialized, half
episodic,
standalone, episodic. Yeah, and that's a case where it's like, oh, I wish we had like more build up to this in previous episodes, like the people Willow was talking about. That happens a lot in this season where we'll like kill a character or have something traumatic like that happen, and I'm like, oh well, in hindsight, I kind of wish we had more build up to that,
Well, and then it's funny too because I'm not gonna say who, but the show also has a habit of bringing back some of these one-off characters, and you're like, who the hell is? Oh.
Well, because we talk about this a lot with Smallville, especially early Smallville with like crypto. There are so many crypto freaks on that show where it's like you are seeing this student in this episode who you have never seen before.
Correct.
But now they're important, so it also falls into that. Except for the principal, who's in a lot of episodes and then dies getting eaten by hyena people.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
I don't know if you recognized him because I'm the biggest fan of that movie here, but he's in RoboCop 2. He's one of the lawyers.
Good for him.
Yeah. He had a hell of a career in the 90s. RoboCop 2 and this. But yeah, that is something they get better at. Teddy points out they get better at balancing the Monster of the Week and serialized formula. Because something that we need to mention as well is, of course, this was a novelty at the time. This wasn't what TV was.
Mm. Yeah, and I can appreciate that.
We've ruined that since, but Yeah.
I miss this kind of TV. Because when you get that Angel episode that kind of kicks off the back half, I think there is an overall improvement in quality, both with the main plot and the...
Well, it really starts with the hyena episode, if you think about it.
Because the first half, like episode 3 was really good, the witch one. It just surprised me how quickly after that pilot, like, yeah, we're gonna take a break from vampires and do all this weird shit. I'm like, we
Did
got
you
here a lot quicker than I was expecting.
did you like those CGI eyes?
Oh God, yeah, that was great.
Hadan, do you have any wrap up questions for Robert?
Not really. This is a really straightforward season, and we kind of talked about all of it.
Yeah. Robert, thank you for finally watching season 1 of my favorite show. If you don't like season 2, I might have to kill you, but no. Have a good night, everybody.